My God, if you could see the contours that I have to do to bring this to life. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm super cramped right now because I'm like as far away from, you can see where the red curtain is, that door. And there's an air conditioning unit right here on my left. And so I'm like hugging the wall. There's nowhere to sit here. Because the alternative is, I could have used the desk over there, but it's like too low and I'm stacking my camera on top of my red suitcase. So that's where we're at right now. You're gonna have to bear with it. But I've been getting this like gnawing whisper, you need to film, you need to film, you need to film. And I've just been putting it off just because I have, and it's the enacting of this law. So right now we're on the third law, the third strategy of war. Amidst the turmoil of events, do not lose your presence of mind. And the last 2 weeks I've been under severe anxiety, stress, worry, concern, threatening my peace of mind. Excuse the noise, that's the chair. But that's the reason why I haven't wanted to film, because I'm just like, I've been so under mental turmoil, mental fire, the spiritual warfare. And I'm just like, I don't have the excitement, enthusiasm, interest to show myself. You know what I'm saying? Also, I had this in the last Airbnb that I was staying in, because right now I'm traveling through Argentina, or not through Argentina, I'm staying in Argentina, on this noble quest, this journey. And I don't like it when I film, and I know that there's other people within the residence who are, you know, with these really thin walls who are privy to my conversation. Excuse my shoulder. It's actually, I don't like that. It makes me very self-conscious in my own head. I'm not here and present, but I'm just thinking about what other lurking, looming little ghouls are thinking about, you know, my should-be private conversation. You know, so you're gonna hear like a masked voice of myself because I'm not fully vocalizing my words, because of those lurking, looming ghouls that we foremost discussed. But that's the strategy, and then we'll get into it, and I'm gonna break it down one by one. So you're gonna have to bear with me. That's the intro. You guys ready? Here we go. Amidst the turmoil of events, do not lose your presence of mind. And there's a quote, and then I have 3 examples that I want to start with. Here's a quote. In the heat of battle, too many things confront you at the same time. There's danger of responding emotionally with fear, depression, or frustration. So the whole name of the game, what does that mean? Do not lose your presence of mind. Your presence of mind is emotional control. It's stoicism. It's when you're in the heat of battle, you don't panic from fear. You don't panic from stress. You don't panic from worry and concern, and then make emotionally led decisions, right? You're responding, not reacting. Most people you see react. Most people, whether they're a colleague, work person, relationship, whatever, family member, most people who have never known real stress, and when tragedy or calamity does arise, you actually get to see their true colors. You get to see how they tolerate stress, how they handle stress. And what I've learned is everybody is cordial and lovey-dovey and motivated and happy and positive when things are going well. But if you want to see somebody's true character, put them through controlled adversity. It's why dating, my favorite first date, as unorthodox as it might sound, is taking a woman to the gym. Because people would say, oh, that's, you know, not a good first date. In my opinion, it's the absolute best first date, because in 1 hour, you can glean exactly who that person is under stress, under adversity, in an environment where you control all the variables. Meaning, if a person can't crack it under this controlled stress environment, it's so easy to insinuate, to glean how they're going to act, how they're going to respond when there's a hardship later down the road in the relationship. If through this trial, it's panic, it's freak out, it's how long do we still have to go, how much more sets do we have, if it's excuses, if it's a victim mentality, if it's they quit, you know exactly their character. You know they have a quitting mindset. You know they're not somebody who's gonna go the distance. You know they're somebody who has that victim narrative loop, and somebody who's wanting to be saved. You can glean so much in 1 hour where you know this isn't a warrior. This isn't someone who's in it to win it. I'll give you an example. I remember when my brother was courting his now wife, we'd go to the gym together, and it would be me, my oldest brother, and his wife, now wife Sarah. And when my brother would tell her to do one more rep, or even when I would tell her to do one more rep, she would give me, and she's already like approaching failure, she would strive for 2 reps or 3 reps, like, and you're just like, dude, that's a killer. That's somebody who's in it to win it. That's somebody who wants it more badly for themselves than I want it for them. That's somebody who I know when sales aren't so smooth later down the road, they're going to stick it out through thick and thin, right? They're going to work through it. They have will, they have character, they have perseverance, they have heart, they have passion, right? All of that you can glean within that single hour, versus all of the above the surface bullshit conversations. So I love that visual to start off this discussion. But in the heat of battle, too many things confront you at the same time. There's a danger of responding emotionally with fear, depression, or frustration. And you see it all the time. I would see it when I would train clients. I was reflecting on it the other day of how long I worked as a trainer, as a coach, both in person, online, over the course of my fitness journey. And I counted about eight years. Starting in 2016 up until 2024. Yeah, 2024. Because from 2025, I didn't train anybody, and then 2026 was when I started. I technically trained people when I was an undergrad, so between 2013 and when I graduated in 2016, but like formally where they would pay me. Though I did get paid like through PayPal for writing a guy like a workout plan when I was an undergrad. I started the entrepreneurship journey early, but you see it, man. You see the people who are in it to win it. You see the people who panic under stress. You see the people who have perseverance, who have will. And the one lesson that is, I have it noted here, this is from the book. It can't be taught. So emotional control and stoicism, it's like the reward that you get, the refinery that you get by going through the fire, by going through God's forge, by going through the furnace. That's the only way that you develop that virtue of emotional control, of stoicism. It's by going through hardship that forces that virtue to, if you have somebody who's riddled with fear and anxiety and stress and all this bullshit, and then you put them into the fucking arena and they have to really emerge with that do or die spirit, that do or die mentality. In the next chapter, in the 4th strategy of war, I was reading the introduction to it, he talks about putting yourself on death ground. When you put yourself into that corner where you've burned your boats and you're like, I'm either going to rise to the occasion or I'm going to die, I'm going to perish, you will really, that's how you become forged. That's how you cement that virtue, is by going through that fire. But these are the examples that I wanted to give, which helped me cement mine that I have currently right now. And it's not even something that is cemented in the sense that it's not tested. As in these past 2 weeks, despite all of the trials, all of the adversity, all the hardship, all of the resilience that I've built over years on my journey within development, it doesn't, it'll aid you. It'll act as a good toolkit. You'll have it to lean on, but it doesn't take away the degree and severity of stress all the way, like 100%. Like it'll diminish it, but it won't completely eradicate it. Somebody just, you can hear them. See, now we're gonna make sure that they're not pretty different conversations. But these were the examples that I saw. So the first one was work was the easiest example that I could think of. So what gave me like the heart issues that I have right now, or that I've never had before in my life, because I've never had any form of anxiety. I'm measuring my voice because I can fucking hear them by my door. Was the shit that I had to go through from work. So when you're working as that courtier in the rat life and you know that your boss is purposefully, intentionally trying to get you fired, it is such a mental fuck, because every day you're going into work in fight or flight. And so you don't know what day that you're going to get fired. You don't know what day that you're going to walk in. You walk in knowing that you're going to get bullied, knowing that you're going to get harassed, knowing that this person is enacting intentional malevolence, which I learned from Jordan Peterson. It's what gives people actual like trauma and anxiety. It's not that somebody does something. somebody endures a tragedy or a hardship that induces that, because a lot of people have gone through hard and terrifying and terrible shit, and sexual abuse, physical abuse, people dying, disease, all these things, war, and they've emerged just fine, and they've been emotionally emotionally unscathed. He says what fucks with you is the knowledge that the person was intentionally enacting malevolence on you. Like, that's where there's a monster, behind under the bed or behind the closet. When this fucking demon was actually trying to hurt you, was trying to break you, was trying to fuck with you psychologically. Like, I've shared it in past videos, but like, my serpent superior would assign me tasks that she would then report me for. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was such a mental fuck for me, where it's like, you're trying to gather this fabricated documentation in your effort to get me fired, and then you're assigning me the task that put me into that category of me, and it was so psychologically challenging. Excuse the chair creak. It was so emotionally frustrating, because I was trying as hard as I could to get a different job every single day for 18 months. And knowing that I didn't have another option, that I had my rent, and bills to pay, and that I had to go to work, and you develop a different mindset that this is a required assignment. This is a required assignment by God. You learn that in the book Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, where he says everything, no matter how seemingly insignificant, is part of nature's design for you, for your highest good. It's a required assignment for your greatest potential. And the only reason I was able to cement that mindset was because I'd go on a walk and I said, God, I know you could take me out at any time, and you're choosing not to. 14 interviews in person where it's a no, it's a perpetual no. I was just like, there's some fucking divine intervention that's forbidding me from leaving this. And this is the next part that I wrote. It's only from going through that will you then in turn develop the belief system, once you're on the other side, that all of this is happening for me. And then that becomes your new belief system. But prior to making it to the other side, there's a good quote that one of my mentors told me while I was going through the fire. She said, the only way out is through. The only way out is through. But until you make it through to the other side, and then you live the life that you're living now, for example, I haven't been seen the inside of an office since January 8th of 2025. It's been over a year. Do you know what I'm saying? Since I've literally been provided for, taken care of by God. And it's so only from where I am now do you then look back and say, wow, thank you. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if it wasn't for all that I endured, I wouldn't be leading the life that I'm living right now. But when you're going through it, you don't have the belief system that everything is happening for you. Actually, it's that tiny seed of hope, and that's all you're holding on to. It's just like my mantra that I developed over the years. We're all going to make it. It was something that I had to believe. I had to believe that I could make it. I had to believe that I could achieve a physical transformation. I had to believe that I could, and I'll discuss, graduate from UCLA. Like, I had to believe that I was going to make it, whatever making it at the time was. If making it was just getting through the fucking day, if making it was, achieving this goal, what have you. But you don't develop that belief system that everything is happening for you until you make it to the other side. So until then, all you're leaning on is faith. That it's a belief system that I have to have in order for me to mentally get through this. Okay. And then the peak of it was when I actually gleaned that my boss was illegally collaborating with other superiors, other leaders within the organization, collaboratively colluding to intentionally get me fired. Like, I could hear it from my fucking desk what they were doing, and they would laugh about it, not even behind closed doors and open doors, of exactly what they're doing, where they would harass me to try to get provocation, to try to get a reaction, and then use that reaction, and then, oh, I heard this reaction from him, and then that instability in my, character to then report me to human resources with this, eyewitness sort of documentation. Like, it was such a fucked situation that I was in. And so that, because I learned during that trial that she was trying to get a reaction from me on purpose to aid her intention of getting me fired, it forced emotional control and stoicism, because it was just like, oh, I know what you're doing. I cannot give you a reaction from this. And so what you have to do is, through that pain, through that fire, you just fucking sit there. You sit there while they're yelling at you. You sit there while they're making a big deal out of nothing, or when they're yelling at you for a task that they fucking assigned you to do, and you're just like, dude, this is such bullshit, kind of a deal. But if you say that this is bullshit, they'll omit all of the action and manipulation that they do, all of the garbage that they do, and they won't mention all of that in their reports and their documentation. They'll just mention the provocation, the reaction that they were able to get from you. And that's where it's a mental fuck. But that's where you get this skill that can't be taught. It can only be endured. That's where you get this virtue. The next one was I put peak heart contractions and palpitations. So I remember when I thought I was going to die. It was when my heart, because I went to the doctor the first time when it was happening, and I think it was from a state of being in fight or flight where your cortisol is just a never-ending drip for way too long. And I went to the place where they give you an EKG, and I had it was called like a 4th degree heart block or something, where like my heart would literally skip a beat, skip a rhythm. There was not the normal rhythm, whatever, in it. And then I learned that I had something that they called like a leaky valve, where they said you might need like heart valve replacement surgery in the future because blood is supposed to be flowing this way and it's not, it's flowing this way. Anyway, a lot of fucked up complications from what I went through. But I remember I had a peak event where my heart actually contracted. I don't know if you've ever, it's a muscle like anything else, but I don't know if you've ever felt a heart contraction before. My whole thing just stopped for a second, and I've never experienced it before in my life, but every siren went off at the same, like imagine if you're just going about your day and then 1,000 sirens go off at once. That's exactly what it felt like. And you're in this moment of like, holy shit, is this it? Is this the end? Is this the end of the video game? And what's fascinating is 2 things. One are the thoughts that you think when you think you're going to die, which I'll share with you. All you think about are the people that you love and the people that you want to tell that you love one last time. That's the only thing you think about when, no bullshit, you think this is the end of the video game. And so it's a really cool thing to learn. The second thing is you really learn who you are. And I remember when I thought it was the end of the video game, I was like, you need to go to the hospital. I said, we're not going to rush. We're going to take our time. We're going to put on our suit without the tie. So everything except the tie portion. But I was like, you're going to put on your watch. You're going to put on your dress shirt, tuck it in, put the belt on, get the dress shoes. I said, you're going to drive yourself to the hospital. It's going to be faster than calling, 911 or an ambulance. And you're going to admit yourself and say, I'm having this emergency. I need to be seen. And then that's exactly what I did. And what I learned about myself from that situation is, if you've ever seen the movie The Count of Monte Cristo, it's my favorite quote. He says, life is a storm, my young friend. You will bask in the sunlight one moment, be shattered on the rocks the next. What makes you a man is what you do when that storm comes. You must look into that storm and shout as you did in Rome, do your worst, for I will do mine. And the fates will know you as we know you, as Albert Mondego, the man. I don't think he says his last name, just Albert, the man. And that's what I learned about myself. I learned that in that heat of battle, I have that emotional control and stoicism and that resolve to not back up, but to stand my firm ground, look at the storm of life and say, do your worst, for I will do mine. And it's incredibly comforting, that gun to your head when you think you're going to die, to know who you are. And I even shared it before. I remember when I went into the attorney interviews, investigations that I was tasked with and charged with from work, there's such a comfort. There's such a comfort with going into a police investigation or attorney investigation when you walk into a room on Judgment Day and know your heart is true and know that you have good intentions and know that you're operating with unconditional love in your heart. There's such a calm and a peace and a resolve from all these motherfuckers trying to insinuate that you're this villain character, when you could just sit there knowing that you don't fear anyone because you're walking in obedience and alignment with God. So that was the second one. Third one, financial oblivion. So these past 3 weeks, I've been able to, I've looked at my, when you can see all the due expenses that you have, and I could see the fucking end of the video game. I have been traveling since July. So July 3rd was when my flight was out. I was put in the position of, we're going to fire you or you can resign. So it was resignation in lieu of termination, June 26th. So then I was, you have to resign or get fired. I chose resignation. And I've been abroad since, so we're in February right now, so this is month 8. This is the longest I've ever been abroad in my entire life from my home of California. And when I was nearing 0 before, I went back. As in for some reason, God didn't put it on my heart to volunteer at hostels. Because had he done that, I would have just been traveling the last 4 years. But it wasn't written. God wanted me to go through all the bullshit that I had to go through, the 3.5 years that it fucking took me to climb out of hell, literally, by the time I did get back. But my point is, as I was getting close to 0, of like, you don't have any money, how am I going to get back home, all of this, I was in that, oh man, scarcity, fear, lack, I need to get home, and I did everything that I needed to do in order to get home. Okay. This trip, I said, no. I said, I'm going to walk to the edge and I'm going to go through. I said, I'm not turning back. I'm not completing this quest that I know I've been charged with by God. I said, you can offload a lot of it, because you can just tell God that I know I've been walking in obedience with everything that you've told me to do, this video and the insistence on it being the last thing. And I know that if you want me to continue on this journey, you have to provide for me. That's the deal. That's the caveat. If you want me to do this, you have to house me and you have to feed me and you have to make sure the necessity of my bills are paid for, right? God wanted to see how much he could stretch me here. And so the last couple of weeks, I've been in this state of unlimited uncertainty. Didn't know if this thing was going to get approved, didn't know if this provision was going to get approved, didn't know if this was even going to happen. And you're in this state of like complete unknown, complete unlimited uncertainty, complete oblivion, complete like end of the line, end of the video game. I'm not going to have a meal beyond this place or a place to live. And then you're inching towards the fucking edge of the cliff and you're walking like this, like bracing yourself for impact. And so that's why I didn't want to film this video, is because the strategy itself, amidst the turmoil of events, do not lose your presence of mind. I have lost all kinds of presence of mind, and what I've had to do is enact what he talks about within this in order to keep myself calm, in order to try to regulate my nervous system, in order to try to stay stoic and emotionally composed and amidst the heavy stress. Because I've only known a life of stress. You only know stress from your work. You only know stress from entrepreneurship. You only know stress from your physical transformations. You only know stress from heartbreak. I've only known a life of perpetual adversity and struggle and hardship and the need to persevere through all of that. And so I'm not ill-versed within that arena. But when it comes to like the opposite of you being in a state of creation and abundance, but that scarcity and lack and fear, when you're forced into a state of survival for a very, very, very long period of time, it fucking stretches you. It stretches you so much. It stretches your capacity to be able to tolerate greater stress. But also what's interesting is it gives you the strength of character to then steward greater responsibilities, which are blessings, which are these gifts that you need to have the capacity to hold. So that's how I visualize it. It's like God wants to bring me this, my you can call it your kingdom spouse, your forever person, the one who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. But you haven't met him with your preparation of that promise, because your character, your capacity isn't at the level it needs to be to handle all of that responsibility, all of those gifts. That's an example. But that's what I've learned through this. That's the path of growth. And when you walk the path of the hero's journey, you're walking with the lights off. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what the next week is going to hold. I posted a video that another person saw. They reach out to me and then they invite me to go to that country, saying God put it on their spirit to host me. And a week earlier, I thought I was going to another continent entirely. And so you're in this state of complete unknown, complete uncertainty, but that's what it means to walk in obedience and to walk in surrender. But to say that it's not anything less than the most paramount frustration, anger, stress would just be a lie and a severe understatement. So those are the examples that I wanted to give. Emotional control, stoicism, mastery is forged through the heat of battle. Because when you make it to the other side, you cement the belief system that all of your life is happening for you. It's true, because you can only get that belief system in hindsight. Any fucking motivational prick can say, life is happening for you, trust me, when they've already made it to the fucking other side. But when you're going through it and you don't know how this is happening for you, it feels like fucking misery. It feels like hell. It feels like loss. It feels like defeat. It feels like you're fucking getting wrecked. You know what I mean? But then when you're on the other side of that breakup, when you're on the other side of that shit job, you realize, oh, I needed for the life that I'm living right now, my dream life. Oh, it cost me my old one. Oh, if I didn't endure that, I wouldn't be leading the life that I'm leading right now. And so this had to have happened for me, or this is proof. This is proof that it happened for me. But until you have that evidence, it's just words. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say that the emotional control in Stoicism, it's only forged through. It's only forged through going through that bullshit. Because the belief system changes. Because you'll go through your life initially saying, oh, this is happening to me. To me, to me, to me. But then when you're on the other side and you can see all of the fruit that has bore, then you're just like, oh, all of this happened for me. Does that make sense? Okay, so to reiterate, it can't be taught. It's endured. And I put the image of surrender. It's only endured through adversity. And the image of surrender is Hermione. If you've ever seen The Chamber of Secrets, and Ron is struggling. He's resisting the flow. Okay, it's very, very important for a philosophy for living. And she says, don't fight. It'll only kill you faster. And then he says, oh, now I can relax, right? While the fucking, whatever, the tree branches are, constricting and suffocating him. Okay. And then what does she do? She completely relaxes. She completely surrenders. And then, boom, breakthrough. That's exactly how the game works. It's exactly how the game works. And I've noticed every single time I'm riddled with so much stress and so much anxiety, there's something that I am not letting go of. There's a person that I'm not letting go of. There's a story. There's a belief system. There's a habit. There's something that I need to let go of. There's something that can't come with me on this next level of ascension, of spiritual ascension. I hear fucking noise somewhere. On your journey of progression, of growth, of healing, of development. Something can't come with you that you're fucking holding on to. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what I've learned. It's from that image of surrender. You have to let go. And it's as if it's also the image of Christ, where you're holding on to this tiny flower and he's like, give it to me, let go. And you're like, no, but I want it. I like it. He says, trust me, right? I have something better for you. And behind his back, he's holding this huge bouquet. It's that exact same image. It's like, hey, unless you let go of the scraps, of the breadcrumbs of this, I can't give you all of this that I want to give you. You know what I mean? And also, I learned from an old coworker's amazing wisdom. He said, you're like this. And at the time, my mindset for a discussion we were having, it was very closed. He said, you're like this, right? He said, I cannot give you anything like when your mind is like this. He said, now you're in a position to receive. But until you let go, right? There's no space for me to come in, for me to add food for thought, consideration, a different perspective, anything like that. And that is the crux of ego and humility. As in, this is ego. I don't have anything to learn from you. This is humility. The world is my library. The world is a mirror reflecting back to me something for my benefit, for my betterment. Always. Life is always happening for me. Always. Okay. Emotional control from stress and being under a lifetime of pressure. And then, so I have more examples. Here we go. So, you're like, Tarek, how do you have such great degree of stress tolerance? How is it that when you thought you were going to die, you were able to remain so composed and dress yourself up and drive yourself to the hospital? And I'll give you a few examples. When I was an undergrad at UCLA, I was put on subject to dismissal twice. What is that? It means when your GPA falls below a 2.0, and they say, if you don't get your grades up, we're going to dismiss you from the university. And that was very, very stressful for me, if you can imagine, because I was also putting myself through school full time. So at one point I was working 3 jobs simultaneously while being a full-time student. And there was a direct correlation between how good I was at the game World of Warcraft, 7-time Gladiator, and how failing my grades were. I don't know why, but through that stress, right, I rose to the occasion. Meaning one of my most proud things that I've ever done in my life was teach myself Latin. And while you're working a full-time job, I remember I had to quit my job at the end, I actually completed the seasonal portion of Target. I was working at Target as well as the other jobs at that time. And I was like, if I don't quit this, and if I don't quit the game and just focus on, I remember one weekend, I studied for 40 hours. So think of a Saturday, Sunday. There's 48 hours in 2 days. I studied, I swear to God, for 40 hours. Like locked myself in this room. Sometimes the girlfriend I had at the time, she would come and we would like study together. And it was 40 hours of just repetition, of just exercises, of just, volume and output and just memorization, regurgitation. I did that until when we would go into discussions during the week, I was almost like, I was in pitching and catching with the TA, with the assistant professor, with, to where somebody would make a mistake and I would correct the student. Like that's how fucking on I was with the material, to where I turned my F that I had in the class to I think I got out of that grade with like, I needed a B minus and I got a B, or I needed like a C plus and I got a B minus. It was something like that. But that was one example of just, imagine that you're put on fucking subject to dismissal twice and it's your senior year and you need this one class, you don't graduate, you don't get your degree, whatever. And it was incredibly stressful at the time. And then the other thing that I put was getting Gladiator in WoW. So I don't know if you know this, but I was 7-time Gladiator. And in order to get that, you're under a lot of stress. You have feral druids and you have death knights and you have hunters and you have warriors and you have rogues. You have all these people training you, and all you can do as there's Destro Warlock and Resto Druid and Discipline Priest, is just be very, very calm under pressure, especially at the high rating. You got to understand, I was on BG9, the hardest battle group, and I was the number 1 ranked. Destro Warlock sometimes. I had one guy who was a Thugonomics who would challenge me, but so rank 1 to rank 2. And then I would go in against BlizzCon champions, the one who won the entire tournament of the video game itself. And I would play my healer versus the healer that won, and I would go toe to toe with him and win. And so you gotta understand at that level, it's very stressful, but that also, I swear to God, I'm trolling, but what I'm doing right now within martial arts and with fighting, I swear my emotional control and stoicism was born from that video game. I'm not even fucking lying, because all I knew playing a caster, playing a healer, playing a DPS, from being trained by melee, was how to remain composed under pressure. Like I'm not even trolling, that's why it's listed. Okay, entrepreneurship, that was another one. So when you work as an entrepreneur, which I have for many years, and you don't know where your next meal is coming from. You don't know how you're going to make rent, and it's all on the line every month. And you do that for months and months on end, years on end. It is so fucking stressful. And you don't realize your capacity, your creativity, your resourcefulness. You will never realize that kind of potential. You'll never unlock that potential that's dormant within you right now unless you put yourself into that environment, into that burned boats. I don't have a savings fucking account. It's all in. Until you quit your job, until you stop getting the fucking spoon-fed paycheck, that safety, that security, until you go all in, until you burn your boats, you will never know how great and powerful and creative and resourceful you are. You'll never see the beauty of your own strength unless you put yourself into an environment that unlock that kind of potential. So those are the examples that I wanted to give of how I've cemented my stress tolerance over time, to where in moments of adversity, in these otherwise stressful situations, I'm able to remain composed. I'm able to keep my head. I'm able to not let all of these fucking ripples distract me, and I'm able to quiet and calm my mind. Meditation is an exercise that I put also that helps. I put a calming ritual, because he says you need a calming ritual, something that brings you back when the heat of battle is just piling up. And for me, in the last couple of weeks, I've had to force myself to be still, to not be afraid. And so the calming ritual for me has been force the mind to step into calm, and I put my name as Tony Robbins, so I can't recommend it enough. If you type in on YouTube, Tony Robbins priming video, it's a 14-minute video, and I skip to the 3-minute mark, for me personally, because the last 10 minutes is what I love the best. The first one controls your physiology, so there's a change in breathing, and then there's the change in focus. And you anchor calm, and you anchor peace, and you anchor gratitude, and you anchor, especially if you do it consistently, you're able to still your mind. Because when you do it for the first time, you won't be able to get the internal dialogue out of your head. But when you've done it and done it and done it, you can go so deep into your mind that you can literally feel yourself give love across the world. You can feel I'm not exaggerating, you can feel light and energy literally radiate, exude from you. Like when you tap into your divinity, it's insane. The level of spiritual ascension and enlightenment that you'll begin to harness. But that's how I'm able to do it. That's another anchor for me to go back into a state of serenity. And we learn from the neuroscientist Joe Dispenza. He said it's nothing to do 2 hours of meditation to have a calm, tranquil mind. He said a true test of emotional mastery is how quickly you can go back to that state of serenity amidst this new event, this new turmoil, this new adversity. Like tragedy, strikes, how quickly can you go back to that Zen state? He said that's emotional mastery. So, like I said, anybody can be fucking roses and optimism and peaceful and kumbaya and all this shit under the, pre-COVID circumstances where, the market's up, jobs are great, pay is well, relationships are happy, everything's abundant. That's all fine and fucking dandy of love thy neighbor, right? March 2020, 2020, going to the grocery store where they're trying to fucking stab you for the last roll of toilet paper, you get to see people's true fucking colors. It's what Heath Ledger talked about in The Dark Knight. He was like, just wait, when the chips are down, these people will eat each other. And it's completely, you get to see people's true colors under stress. And so what will give you that level of power, this strategy of war, right, as this great operator, this great strategist, is emotional control, stoicism, emotional mastery, right? How to remain calm, composed in that state of, he says, presence of mind. Okay. And then I put Caesar example. So the other day, we're doing the MMA class. And by the grace of God, I was spared from this because Caesar, my angel, who's my professor right now, my master, he told me to spar with a different guy. The guy this guy who got injured sparred with, he got injured as a result. I hear the loudest shriek I have ever heard in a gym before. And it was reminiscent of, it happened in Brazil where this fucking 300-pound guy in a wrestling class crashed on this dude. And you just hear that same howl, that same shriek. Like if you've ever stepped on a rabbit, rabbits, they don't talk at all. If you step on one accidentally, I had Twinkie, my buddy when I was a kid. Sometimes she would walk underneath your feet and then you hear this shriek. They have vocals. So I heard it from a dude, and it's because the ligaments in his patella snapped from something that happened. I didn't see it. I was sparring with a different guy. Okay. I froze. Because I'm in a foreign country, I'm the student, I don't know the protocol here with everything, right? I'm not gonna say do this or go there. I completely went by the guy, was on my knees, and I just stood there, or didn't do anything, okay? I froze completely. And all I could do was watch and admire Caesar, who was our professor, who it was his role and responsibility to take action, to coordinate, to protect and provide and lead, okay? So I submit to that, but while my heart was fucking racing from, number one, acknowledging that could have been me, fucking if Caesar did not divinely intervene, if God didn't say, no, Tarek, go here, and then put it in his spirit to direct me there, I would have shared that guy's fate. I would be in a hospital right now, or, be on crutches, or this whole fucking quest that I'm doing right now would be forfeit. And so all of that is going through my head in this moment. And all I could do was admire Caesar's stoicism. He was so calm. He was so, this. He was like, okay. And he was directing the other students in the class, go get this. We'll put this under his leg. Let me go here. He went to the front desk. Okay, I think we need to call for an ambulance for something to pick him up. Went back. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to slowly see if he started, touching it. Again, let's see if we can extend it. He was so calm. Just like a pilot when they go through turbulence, his emotional stoicism, calm, happy, happy-go-lucky, where you break the person's emotional loop and pattern, maybe a inappropriate joke cracked, 15 minutes in, whatever. We're able to, calm him down. Caesar was able to calm him down, make him relaxed, make him dare to, extend his knee and his leg and this, and until the initial fucking shock and, adrenaline dump was able to subside. And then, sure enough, we're around like men around a campfire sharing a war story. We were that brotherhood moment came afterwards. And all I could do that entire time, because everyone's speaking Spanish and I'm just right there, right, is admire what a great leader my master is. And it's interesting because I've learned on this journey not to abandon myself. So I would see qualities that I really admire within other people, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing, that's, this. And every single person that you ever meet is a mirror of you. They're a mirror of your qualities, of your attributes, of things that you love about yourself or things that you abandon within yourself. Man, I wish I was that attractive. Man, I wish I was that charming, or that this person is so full of sunshine. All of those traits are within you. They're mirroring it back to you within your experience, within your reality. That's how resonance works. And so I'm saying that as like a self-encouragement for myself. But in that moment, all I could do was sit there with awe and admiration of that level of emotional control. Because you had a guy who just, fucking snapped something, and he could not have been less rushed, less stressed, less, like, as if he was just like so unfazed. And I was like, dude, that is the level of mastery of emotional control and stoicism that I want to get to. It's awesome. So I had to put that as an example. Okay. Quote: the better you get at the game of war, and I love that he articulated like that, the game of war. Like, it's a game that you can, if it's a game, you can get good at it. If it's a game, you can get great at it. If it's a game, you can become the best at it. The better you get at the game of war, the more your warrior frame of mind will do for you in your daily life. When a crisis does come, your mind will already be calm and prepared. And I put that quote, do your worst. And I've met people, man, when I worked in the rat life, who have never known real struggle, have never known real adversity. And you see how they crumble when something arises, when there's a deadline that they have to meet. Or I've seen people who fucking throw a tantrum when they get an email that they're unsatisfied with. And I'm just like, dude. And even one of the people who are living here, I remember he couldn't open the door. And he was like, he asked me, any tips for opening the door? And I was able to show him how to open the door. You have to like turn the key and then like pull the thing back, and then you have to finagle it. And then he was like, this is going to be a long, he's doing an internship. He says, this is going to be a long, 6 weeks. And you know what my only fucking thought leaving that conversation was? I said, Christ, if this is hardship for you right now, if this is fucking calamity, you are so ill prepared for life outside of this fucking building. It was just, it blew my fucking mind, that level of weakness of where this is hardship for you, this is struggle, this is stress. This is stress tacked on. This is going to be a long 6 weeks because you can't open a fucking door. It's crazy, dog. It's crazy. Anyway, but it's true. It's true, the quote, the better you get at the game of war, the more your warrior frame of mind will do for you in your daily life. A good example that came to mind was my Muay Thai coach from Brazil. He'd been training Muay Thai for 25 years. The level of calm he has from being a trained killer was art to watch. He would tell me stories about these people who would, disrespect a family member or inappropriately touch them, like a guy would touch a girl's butt or whatever. And he would tell me how he would handle that situation. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, it transcends. So and he says all of this is from discipline. So you going through fire, you going through hardship, you going through adversity, you training yourself to be that warrior in a garden. When it comes to your life outside of that, you will be such a better leader. You'll be such a better leader. And that was actually in one of the side notes from one of the leaders. I don't remember if it was Napoleon Bonaparte or someone, but it's just, you will become such a better equipped leader by having that emotional control, the emotional mastery, that stoicism, that presence of mind. But that only comes by going through the fire of adversity, the fire of combat, the heat of battle, right? Only by going through war, going through the fire, the forge, do you emerge refined. Do you emerge emotionally stoic? Okay. To finish, last quote. Good pilots do not waste time worrying about what they cannot control. They concentrate on themselves, the skill and steadiness of their hand, the course they have plotted, and their determination to reach port, come what may. I love that. And that's the whole epitome of this. The determination that I'm going to see it through, fucking for better or worse. And I made that proclamation to God. I said, I'm not going back home. I said, you are going to provide for me, we're going to fucking go to the end of this. I said, in the best way that I can articulate how the feeling and sensation is, it's like you're playing chicken with God. So the game of chicken where two people are like running at each other or driving, and one person is gonna fucking turn first. That's exactly how the hero's journey works. When every other person quits, every other person goes back home, every other person says, no, it's too scary, you have to have the resolve of, no, we're going to fucking see it through to break through to this. And I swear, and I could attest to this, there's provisional reward on the other side. Your courage is rewarded. And it's almost as if that's what it's a test for. But with all that I've endured and all that I've overcome, I don't think I'm being tested for my faith anymore or for my courage. I think I've proven those things. I think it's more a stretch in capacity. It's, dude, I want to reward this person. I want to give this person all of these gifts. I need to make their stress tolerance, their resilience, their perseverance, their will, their determination. I need to make all of that larger and larger and larger. I need them to be the kind of man or woman, who can tolerate even greater degrees, of stress. Think of it like you're a warrior in a video game where in order for you to fight a bigger boss, you need to be a stronger character, right? You need to have more experience, you need to be a higher level, you need to have more gear, you need to have more abilities. You don't get to that level until you've defeated these smaller bosses. Okay, so until you've conquered this, you need to be at the level where it's like, no, I can handle the things. And I learned this from Alex Hormozy. The bosses, the fights, they don't get easier. You get more equipped to handle them. Because what happens is when you first start something like a business, entrepreneurship, right? A new character in a video game like Tarkaux, going into the arena as the fighter, right? You start level 1 and you have a fucking stick and a rock and you're going against a dragon, you know what I'm saying? And you don't have any support. There's no fucking relationship. There's no one cheering you on. There's no one, you don't have a sponsorship. You don't have any of this shit, right? It's just fucking you and your stick and a fucking rock and you're trying to slay this Goliath, okay? He says, but by year 1, year 2, year 3, now you have an audience. Now you have, subscribers. Now you have all of this support. Now you have these sponsors. Now you have this ad revenue. Now you have this fucking team around you. Now you have this relationship partner, this teammate. Now you have all of this. You have money now that you can then, put to work for you to hire help and to even get a better team. Now you're able to, the boss doesn't get easier. But now you're so much more equipped and able to be able to take that person on. And by consciously and consistently putting yourself into environments of that force of growth, that force your courage and your emotional control to be challenged, you will gain greater confidence and greater emotional control and stoicism, just as any other skill. When you put yourself into stressful situations long enough, over a long enough period of time, you'll become more adept to handling stressful situations, right? But if that's just a foreign arena to you and you're just dropped in there, later down in life, the arena itself could not even be a super tragic calamity and you're going to treat it as if it is, right? It's going to be freak out, it's going to be at the end of days. But that's everything that I wanted to share. Update. So right now we are in the final weeks of Argentina. I said I'm ready to go right now, but this week will be doing my first fights. So I have a jiu-jitsu competition that I'll be, it's like a grappling competition that I'll be doing on Saturday, which is really cool because it'll be my first time in a competition in like a little thing. And then they have to put me against a white belt. So I think I won't get wrecked too hard because both of us don't know what we're doing. And then on Sunday, it's going to be my first boxing exhibition. So it's not professional. It's not amateur. It's beginner of the beginner of a fight, right? They put you wearing a head pad and it's just, I think I have to take off my shirt and then you are in an arena and then I think other people are watching it. It's an exhibition, it's what it is. So that is the final sort of graduation of this. And I love this is what I want to share. What I'm doing right now in leveling this new character on this hero's journey, on this quest, right? If you've ever played World of Warcraft, you level by going to different zones, okay? As in you start off when you make an undead warlock in Tristful Glades, actually in Death Nail, and then you get there from level like 1 to 3, and then you go to Brill, and then and then you got to go to Undercity and get those quests. Point is, you're in Tristful Glades for like level 1 to 13, level 1 to 10, whatever, and then you move on to Silverpine Forest. And then my point is, I'm literally viewing real life just like that of what I'm doing right now, as in I completed Brazil. So I made it from level 1 to 10 in Brazil. Now I'm completing Argentina. Let's say it's like level 10 to level 20. And now I'm completing this zone, which is South America. Okay. And so it's cool because the sort of graduation of this are the 2 fights that I have this coming weekend. And I love that. And I love that we're doing this video game in real life. And it's awesome. So that's where we're at right now. We're literally playing World of Warcraft. PvP, player versus player. We created a new character. We logged into a new server that's PvP, player versus player. Not PvE, player versus environment. We're not doing fucking campaign mode, all this PvE bullshit. We have to fund the quests that we're doing. But other than that, we're spending the most amount of time that we can playing the game, leveling in the game, right? Doing what we love. You know what I'm saying? This battery's gonna die. So we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna leave it there. Do I make another one? Nah. Do I need to replace the battery? No, I'll just end it. Tarkaux, we're all gonna make it. Ooh. If you haven't checked it out already, go to escapetheratlife.com. If you want to sign up, that'd be awesome. You can join the garden at escapetheratlife.com. And with that is Tarkaux. What is Rat Life? It starts with belief. My courage to pursue. Wish me luck on my first fight. We're all going to make it. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Hope you enjoyed.